I'm Mike Nettleship from the website www.mikeswildlifegarden.co.uk. If you're interested in wildlife and you want to attract it to your garden, why not go to the website? You'll see lots of pictures and videos and tips on what to do to get things coming into the garden. Today I'm going to show you how to make a bird nesting box. This is a good thing to get birds into the garden, and it's not too much trouble if you're a bit of a DIY person. So we're going to go through it today, show you what to do, and if at the end it's a little bit too much trouble, just go to the website where you can order one and I'll post it to you. But please, only if you live in the UK. So let's get on with the job of making this bird box, shall we? We're going to make this bird box from this piece of timber, which is 1.5 metres long, 150 millimetres wide and about 15 millimetres thick. All the dimensions for the separate pieces will be on the website, so you can check there if you want to build it yourself. But you can buy wood in either rough sawn, which this is, or PSE, that's planed square edge, which is nice and smooth. Now, plain square edge makes a nicer looking bird box, but the birds don't care. And rough sawn is about half the price of plain square edge. So it's up to you what you want to make it out of. What I do sometimes is buy the rough sawn and then just go over it with a belt sander to smooth it off a bit. So it's not as good as smooth as the planed, but it looks a bit nicer. So let's get started and cut the pieces that we need to make the bird box. The most awkward pieces to cut are the front and the back, because they've got to be made so that the roof can taper. Now, all the dimensions are on the site, as I probably mentioned. The height of the front is 7 inches. So what we need is really is a piece 14 inches, and then we'll mark it up and then we can cut it. So we'll measure the 14 inches to there, and use a square, draw a line across the wood. So this is the piece when it's cut for the two pieces, the front and the back. So we need to find the centre. Well, the centre is 7 inches. All these will be converted on the website if you need to know them in metric. So we put a mark 7 inches just there. Draw a line across. Now we need to find the centre of this line across. Well, the wood is 6 inches, so we know that's going to be 3 inches, but we'll just check it. Yep, 6 inches. So put a mark on 3 inches. Right, now we've got to draw some lines at 45 degrees. So I'm using this square, which is adjustable. So what we'll do here is slide that so it's got a piece long enough to go right across. So we put that on there so that the top of the edge goes onto the 3-inch mark, which we did on the centre line, and we draw a line right across the wood there. Then we turn the square over and do the reverse. We put the top once again on the line, the mark in the centre of the wood, and we draw a line across there. Now we've got a big X. An X marks the spot because we've got to cut down those lines to get the pointed shape front and back. What you could do is draw a line straight down the centre and cut down there and then attack each one, or you can draw one long line down there and one long line down there. So I'm going to do that now. So I cut those two pieces out and we put them together and make sure that they're even. Otherwise the top won't fit properly. Now we've got to cut a hole in one of these a little bit later so that the birds can get in. But first of all I'm going to cut the other pieces. So I'll cut those and then we'll see what I've done. Before you start to do any sewing, always make sure that you're wearing a mask, because the sawdust in the lungs is no good for you whatsoever, and when you're in an enclosed space you can get quite a bit of sawdust flying about that you can't actually see. So be sure, wear a mask and use a sharp saw. Now I've got the front and the back cut and the base, so now it's time to do the sides. To get the sides, all you have to do is cut a piece the same as that. So I've already cut these, but what I did was I got a piece of wood and held it up to the side of that, marked it, drew a line across with a straight edge and cut that off. Now when I'm doing two pieces that have got to be the same, I like to do them together. So what I did was I got two pieces of wood and I clamped them together and cut them there. Now I'm going to show you how to do that just now, because I've got those together, they're the sides, but they've got to fit between the front and the back, like that. Base, we've got the front there, the back there, and if you get that edge flush with that and that edge flush with that one, and you put a little mark just there on the inside, little mark just here on this side, so you can take those away, put them down. So where those two marks are, that is the width of the side. So now we've got this, and we know, just check that you got it the right way around. So that's the height up to there, so that's the right way around. Just use this one. So now we've got to mark the width. So if you put the piece of wood up to one mark there, so it's right up to that little mark where the inside edge is of the side, and then you do, as you can see I've done here, put a mark on there, then that's how wide it's got to be, and that's going to be accurate. Now the thing is, you want both pieces to be exactly the same, so it's a lot safer to cut them together. So we've already got the sides cut to one dimension, so now I'm going to cut them together so that we get them both the same width. And to do that you have to clamp them into something. I've got this little Black & Decker jobber here, so tighten that up nice and tight. And now when I cut down that line, I know that I'm going to get two pieces exactly the same. Now I've cut all the pieces, I'm going to clean them up a little bit, because when you've sawn down an edge you always get quite a rough edge, as you can see there. So we're just going to clean all the pieces up that we've cut, and it'll make it just a little bit neater. And to do that I simply get a file and go down the edges. I'll do that with all the pieces of wood, and then we'll mark it up ready for drilling the holes to screw it together. Now we've got the wood cut to size and smoothed off, I'm going to drill some holes so that I can screw it together. I always prefer to screw things together because well, it would be easier to nail it together. If you're going to nail it together, you must use galvanised nails so that they don't rust and the box falls apart. But I prefer to use screws because if you make a little mistake and you need a little bit of adjustment, then it's far easier to do it if you've screwed it together, because once you've nailed it together, it's pretty well done. When you use the screws, they've got to be zinc coated so they don't rust as easily. That way you'll make the bird box last a lot longer. So I'm going to put a couple through the front into the side, through the back into the side and the bottom. And I'm going to mark them out first. Now, with the wood being not that thick, it's a good idea to, when you're marking them out, have a piece of wood that you're going to screw it into. And this is what you should do. We're going to go through here into that, which is the side. So if you get the side and you put it on the front there, then you know exactly how thick the wood is, and if you put a pencil mark just there so that it's bang in the middle of the thickness of the side, then you know that the screw is going to head in the right direction. So I'm going to mark this up now, and then I'll drill some holes ready to put it together. I've drilled most of the holes now, as you can see, all ready to assemble it. But I would just like to point out something to you. This is very important. This is the base of the bird box, and you'll notice that there are 4 large holes in it. Now these are very, very important because inevitably some rain may get into the bird box, and if there aren't any drainage holes, then the box will just fill up and drown any chicks that are in there. So put one in each corner, just in case the bird box is at a bit of a slope because it's on a tree or something like that, and that way we can be sure that any water will drain out, and also they're big enough to stop any little bits of grass or moss filling them up. So that's quite important. Now this bird box has a floor area of 5 inches by 5 inches. Now the smallest one you really want to make is one which is 4 inches by 4 inches. That's the minimum size really, and that's only suitable for small birds like blue tits, coal tits and marsh tits. But anything bigger than that, if you want great tits to nest in it, or starlings or sparrows or nuthatchers, the floor area has to be bigger than 4 inches. Now 5 inches, which is what this bird box is sort of fairly adequate for most birds. And what you have to do is, if you want to limit the birds that you nest in the box, for example, if you only want blue tits to nest in the box, then you can limit what birds nest in the box by the size of the hole you put in for access. For blue tits, it's 1 inch, and for great tits, it's bigger. They're all on the website. If you go to the website, mikeswildlifegarden.co.uk, it gives you the details of the size holes there. What you can do, although at the moment I don't supply them, but I might start to do so, is you can buy an aluminium disc with a hole cut in it. Now that's a really good idea because squirrels and woodpeckers are predators of small birds, chicks, and if a woodpecker can make the hole larger to get into, it will. Likewise, squirrels will chew through to get in. So it's a good idea to put a piece of aluminium there with a hole drilled in it. So what you could do is you could drill a bigger hole so that anything can get in, and then get a piece of aluminium from a local engineering company or whoever, get them to cut a hole for the size of the bird that you want to get through. Now in this case, I'm just going to make this for blue tits, so I'm going to have to drill a hole now for the blue tits to get in. And to do that, I have to use a hole cutter, and this is 1 inch diameter. So when I drill this, only blue tits can get in, nothing bigger than that. So we'll go ahead and drill this hole now. Well, that's the entrance hole cut, and you notice that I've put a little hole there. I'm going to put a perch in there. That's an 8mm diameter hole, and I've got an 8mm piece of dowel here, because birds definitely like a little perch outside. You'll see them sitting on it, calling for a mate, or they'll sit on it just to make everybody else aware that that is their house. So that's a good idea to put a little perch on. Just before I do that, we've drilled the hole, but it's just a little bit rough around the edges, as you can see. So I'm just going to give it a bit of a clean up with a circular file. Right, tap the perch into place. Okay, that's good. Now I think we're ready to start screwing things together. And I'm going to use 6 by 1 1/4 screws. They have to be thin because the wood's quite thin. If you put anything much thicker than that, then it may split the wood. So I'm going to use those, and they should be okay. So we get the, I'm going to screw the back to the base first of all. Put it in position. And screw it nearly home, not too tight. I'm not doing it too tight just yet. Get the other one in position and screw that in first. These screws are zinc coated as well, of course, like I mentioned earlier. And I like to just tighten the last bit up with this ordinary screwdriver, because you've got a bit more control of what's happening and you don't want it to go in too far and split the wood. I just screw it in nice and tight so that the top of the screw comes just about flush with the face of the wood. So that's the backing position. Now we can perhaps screw one of the sides into the back. Now we've got quite a bit of it screwed together. I've actually drilled 3 holes in the back there, which I forgot to do earlier. That's so that you can screw it to a wall or a tree, wherever you're going to put it. Now I'm going to put the front on now, but the front is slightly different, because with the others I've put 2 screws through there for the side and the back and this side, and then in the back here I've put screws into the side, so it's all pretty sturdy, all held together now. But the front here needs to be pretty accessible, because at the end of the year you've got to clean this out to get rid of any dirt in the nest and also any mites, and there'll probably be plenty of those. So you need to be able to get this off. So instead, I haven't put any screws in the bottom there, so there are only 4 holding it together, and you can at the end of the year just undo 4 screws, take the front off, clean it out easily, disinfect it, put it back together ready for next year. But one thing to just be careful about, don't think after you've seen the first lot of fledglings fly away that you need to clean the nest out. Don't be over eager to do that, because blue tits may have 3 broods in a year. So don't be tempted to take the front off to see if there are any chicks in for a start, and wait till the end of the year, maybe in November, even December, and then take the front off, clean the bird box out altogether and disinfect it, ready for next year. And then you'll find they will actually roost in it, perhaps over winter. So now we're going to fix the front on. Make sure it's nice and square. And there we are, that's coming together, and you'll see that the drain holes in the bottom there towards the corner, so wherever way you hang it, water can drain out easily. And now we've just got to put the roof on. If I can find it, here we are, hiding under the screw box. Now, I haven't made the roof pieces the same size, and that is because what I like to do is put an overlap on the roof so that it protects it from water getting in. So the shorter side will go flush like that, and then the longer side will go over the top and overlap the top a bit, and that just protects that top seam a little bit from water coming down. If you put it flush like that, then there's a chance that water can get in that edge, seep down and go into the bird box. And if you just overlap it, just give it that extra bit of protection. So I'm going to fit them now so that it's flush at the back and overlaps at the front. And there you have it, your own homemade bird box. If after watching this you don't fancy tackling the job yourself, if you go to my website www.mikeswildlifegarden, you can place an order for one, and I make them to order. They're not mass produced, so it'll be made as you've seen me make it. Just one thing please, I only supply them to the UK, so please don't order one if you live outside the UK. Well, that's all for now. If you visit the website, you'll see lots of videos and pictures that I've taken around my wildlife garden, and also some tips and hints on how you can make your own garden into a wildlife garden, or at least have a section. So that's all from me for now. If you want to watch my other videos about making different types of bird boxes, please go to the website. Bye for now.